Welcome to a place where we combine equal parts science, technology, design, and entrepreneurship. Then we gradually stir in magic to the mixture, and you have the Perception Podcast.
Join us in conversations with design heroes, inspirational thinkers, business leaders, and trailblazers across the globe. On this episode of the Perception Podcast, two worlds collide as this Danny Gonzalez for Perception chats with YouTube sensation Danny Gonzalez. Hailing from Chicago, Danny Gonzalez began his rise to comedy and fame on Vine in 2014. Since then, Danny has established several successful YouTube channels, amassing over 6 million subscribers and 1.5 billion views on his main channel. Danny has won awards, toured the country, and now he's sitting down with me to see what parallels the two Danny Gonzalez's share in the Gonzalez universe. So welcome to the Perception Podcast, Danny Gonzalez.
Yes, thank you, Danny Gonzalez, for having me.
Yeah, this is probably one of the strangest podcasts I've ever had in my life. I never spoke to someone who had the same exact name and the same exact spelling as well. Do you find that you bump into people that spell it with an S at the end more than a Z, or is that just me?
Yeah, I definitely do. I think so. Usually if I give my name to someone like at a, restaurant for a reservation, it's usually spelled with an S.
Yep, I get that a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have so just to give you a little bit of background on me, my parents are both from Spain. They're a little bit up north towards I guess the easiest way to describe it is near the border of Portugal.
Mm-hmm.
Any family or anything in Spain? Because I gotta ask.
Yeah. No. So I obviously get my name from my dad and my dad's dad. His family was from Mexico.
Okay.
Probably from Spain at some point down the line. I think my brother went on like Ancestry one time and traced it all the way back to the 1400s or something like that and found relatives in Spain. But as far as I know, the name comes from Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So just maybe you could tell our listeners just a little bit about yourself and how you get started in the world of YouTube.
Yeah. So I'm Danny Gonzalez, also obviously. I make commentary style videos on YouTube, like comedic commentary on movies or other weird videos I find on the internet. And as well as just kind of like different comedic premises for videos that I can think of. Just generally like a comedy channel. I started doing all this kind of in college. Well, actually, I started my first YouTube channel with my friends when I was in like 6th grade. It was like when YouTube first came out in 2006 or 7, something like that. And I've just kind of always made YouTube videos. But I started to gain an audience on Vine actually in college. That's like around when Vine was popping off. Are you familiar with Vine?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So my friend just told me to get on there, and like it was like my freshman year when I didn't really have any friends yet, and I missed making YouTube videos with my friends from high school. And so I was like, oh, this is kind of a cool creative outlet and something to do just, in between classes and stuff. And so I started to gain an audience on there. And the interesting thing is, one of like the reason that my Vine started doing well is because I was the only person on there that knew how to edit my Vines on a computer and do effects and stuff, and then re-upload them to the Vine app, because at first that like wasn't allowed. You couldn't do that, but I found a workaround to be able to do that. And so me and one or two other people were like the only people that knew how to do that. So it's kind of a weird parallel to your career also.
Yeah. Very interesting. So, so do you have any comedic influences? Do you have any comedians that you kind of, look up to?
Definitely. I would say my first comedic influence is my dad. I think I get a lot of my sense of humor from him. But definitely, yeah. So, I mean, comedians I really look up to are Bo Burnham, John Mulaney. I would say those are the two big ones that I always mention. But I also love The Lonely Island from SNL, like Andy Samberg and his group. I really like making like comedic music too, and I get a lot of my inspiration from them.
Got it. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, so the reason for this podcast, so everybody understands, is it's Danny Gonzalez talking to Danny Gonzalez. But I was sent an email from someone here at my studio. I'm the older one, by the way. You can probably tell by my voice. But I was sent a video from someone here at the studio that said, "Hey, you got to check out this Wired interview with this guy named Danny Gonzalez because he gets mistaken for all the movies that you work on."
Mhm.
So I said, "Wow, it'd be interesting to try and reach out and get a podcast going." I never thought anything would happen, but here we are, and it's crazy that our paths are finally crossed. So tell me a little bit about, I guess, I watched the interview and I know they asked you, it was something about Buzz Lightyear. And
Yeah.
then has anybody else besides that interview asked you about the Marvel movies stuff?
Yeah, well, I just get tweeted about it all the time. Every time like a new Marvel movie or I guess Pixar movie comes out,
Hmm.
I get tweets and I can't tell if all of them are joking or not, being like, I had no idea you worked on movies like this behind the scenes. And I'm sure a lot of the times they're jokes, but sometimes I legitimately can't tell. You know what? Maybe this interview was a bad idea. Maybe I should just be going along with it and being like, yeah, no, that is me. There's only
Yeah.
one Danny
Or
Gonzalez.
maybe we switch jobs for a day. I
Oh
take on
yeah, that
your,
could be cool.
it's like the multiverse snapped in half and we don't know what's going on. Everybody's in different spots.
Yeah. Well, likewise. So had you ever heard of me before that Wired interview?
I did not, honestly.
Wow.
Well, I'm probably twice your age, so I'm not
Okay.
like a huge, I go on YouTube to find things and I watch a lot of content on there. We have our own YouTube channel, but I didn't, my kids knew of you.
Hmm.
And I was like, why didn't you mention this, a long time ago?
Oh,
And
that's funny.
they were just like, well, it wasn't we just didn't think you'd be into it. And then when I showed them the interview, and it was like, holy cow, that's crazy. Um,
That is very
so
cool.
I'm trying to figure out now if there are more similarities. Sorry. Um, do you like Marvel movies, and do you have any specific superhero that's one of your favorites?
I do, and I think I saw most of them up until Endgame.
Hmm.
I like all the Spider-Man movies. I think the most recent Marvel movie I saw was the most recent Spider-Man. Was it No Way Home? Is that what it's called?
Hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I thought that was great. So have you worked on like the majority of them? When did you start working on them?
So let's see, 2009, Iron Man 2 was our first Marvel project. I should say our first Marvel film project. We worked on a bunch of animated features for them beforehand.
Mhm.
I guess that was kind of like the test for them to see if we could handle a bigger role. And then we got a small um, piece in Iron Man 2. And then my partner and I are both from New York area. I'm from Queens. He's from Brooklyn. So we have that, kind of never say die attitude. So we kept attacking the Marvel folks and saying, "Hey, we got ideas for what Tony Stark's phone could look like," and we sent them a test, and they loved it. And then we ended up designing all his technology pretty much throughout the film, and then that just totally changed the world of perception for us. And Perception is the name of my company. Sorry, should have
Okay.
mentioned that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. I think I've seen you listed as VFX supervisor in a lot of those movies. Is that
Yeah,
right?
there's a couple of different titles that I hold for all the different ones. But what we do essentially is we come up with all the technology for all the different characters. So we design Tony Stark's technology, we design Thor's girlfriend's technology. Each one of them have a very different personality. So obviously Tony Stark's a billionaire and he can design anything because he's a genius and he has the money to do anything. Thor's girlfriend, she's a genius. She doesn't have that much money, so her stuff looks like it's made from like Radio Shack or Best Buy, pieces from stuff you'd find in the garbage outside those
Yeah.
stores. And then the probably besides Iron Man 2, another highlight for me in the film world and also for Perception was envisioning the world of Wakanda and Black Panther, which was awesome experience. And we designed all of Black Panther's technology. So that's kind of like the cream of the crop in the Marvel cinematic universe as far as technology goes. That's the most advanced technology in the Marvel world. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, the technology in those movies is like one of the coolest parts. Like every movie, Tony Stark has some new cool thing, or like
Hmm.
his suit is all totally different. Those are like my favorite parts of seeing those movies.
Yeah, yeah, they're a lot of fun, and Robert Downey Jr. plays a great Tony Stark. But what's crazy is that in right when Iron Man 2 came out, a lot of technology companies started calling us, and then we started doing the same work for technology brands. So we've worked with Apple, and we've done a ton of automotive projects. The most recent one's a 2024 Mustang. We did the Hummer EV, where we did all the user interfaces, where pretty much what you see in front of the steering wheel, all those clusters, they call them digital clusters, and we designed the whole experience. So
Wow,
it's a
so
little bit.
they saw you did such a good job designing like futuristic superhero technology that they wanted to hire you to like make real technology.
That's it. That's exactly it.
That's really cool.
That's the perception story right there in a nutshell. Science fiction meets science fact. That's kind of the elevator pitch, so to speak.
Yeah, that's really neat. So wait,
Yeah.
so is your did you have any like education in visual effects, or do you have more of an education in technology, or are you just all self-taught in all of this?
It's all pretty much self-taught. I actually went to school for business. I was going to take over my father's Spanish restaurant in Queens.
Mm.
And the last year of college, I had to take a couple of credits to graduate, and I saw the special effects class in Manhattan, and I decided, I'm going to take it because it seemed cool and fun, and it was a lot of like, like those old movies like Freddy Krueger, like the makeup and stuff like that, and then there was like stop motion, so it was a lot of fun.
Mhm.
Some cell animation, and then the girl who I was dating at the time, who's now my wife, had a client whose son worked at a studio in Manhattan called RGA, and I got a job there, and that was it. I learned everything at that studio, and I didn't take over my father's restaurant.
Well,
So
there's
it was
still
kind of,
time.
yeah. No, it's long gone, and the restaurant
Oh,
business
okay.
is way too crazy. This business is nuts, but the restaurant business is nuts. It's very rough, very rough.
Yeah, especially
Um,
in New York. That sounds very chaotic.
yeah, yeah. So I wanted to see what other parallels we have. So you mentioned you like to do music, and what's crazy is the reason why I took this class in Manhattan is because I used to be a DJ before uh, starting my career at RGA.
Oh, wow.
What kind of music is what's your taste? What's your genre? Give me a little bit of background on that.
Yeah, so I have a pretty wide genre of stuff that I listen to. I listen to a lot of what's popular and rap and hip hop and pop and EDM type stuff. I
Hmm.
started producing music when I was in high school because I really liked Skrillex. Have you ever heard Skrillex?
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah. So I was super big into Skrillex. So the first music I started making was dubstep with like the wub 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 type of bass.
Hmm.
And then from there I've just like branched out. I've made lots of different types of stuff from pop to hip hop sounding instrumentals.
Hmm.
And then with my channel and my comedic presence, and because I love the Lonely Island so much, I've adapted a lot of that to make comedic music that I've posted on my YouTube channel and stuff.
Right. Cool. Yeah, I was more into and this was back in the day, so this is like vinyl on, Technique turntables. I still have all the stuff, but it was more hip hop and um some techno music. There was some
Mhm.
freestyle music, which when you hear it today, it sounds horrible, but back then it was fun.
So
Um,
did you ever produce music, or are you kind of like DJing events and clubs and stuff like that?
yeah, it was always events, clubs. I had a drum machine where I would like run beats behind just to mix a couple things here and there.
Mhm.
But I never got to produce anything for any celebrities or artists like that. So
Yeah. Do you still do that at all?
I don't. My son's buddy is a DJ, and he brought his equipment over, and it was basically like he could just carry it in one hand. It was like these two mini turntables. I used to have this thing. We used to call it a coffin. It was like two turntables, a huge mixer in the middle, and we used to have to carry the speakers and amps to all the parties. So I started dabbling a little bit. So I'm probably going to get back into it, but I gotta dig the records out and the turntables out from storage and set them up somewhere. I'm sure my wife's going to be very excited about that one. So
Oh
see
yeah.
how it goes.
That sounds really fun though. I've always
Yeah.
been curious about DJing and stuff. It looks really cool. I don't know if I have the right skill set for that though. Maybe we could do a Danny Gonzalez collab
Yeah,
song or remix or something.
that sounds good. Yeah, we could totally do that. Danny G times, it would have been better if there was three of us. Danny G times three would be good, but I guess we could
Oh
do the
yeah.
Danny double double Danny or something like that. But yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Double Danny. I like that.
So I remember also you mentioning Lightyear in this interview, and
Mhm.
here's another crazy parallel. So in Lightyear, there's someone on the Disney side named Jeremy Lasky, and my business partner, who's the other co-founder of Perception, is named Jeremy Lasky.
Oh.
And they did a similar podcast like us, Jeremy Lasky Multiverse, and it was very funny. Except, they they're really, I wouldn't say really connected, but they have very strong similarities. The same age, their kids are the same,
Mhm.
close in age. They both have a daughter and a son. It was crazy. Do you have any kids? I know you're married, right?
Yeah, I'm married.
Okay.
We're actually expecting our first in October.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So my wife she's in her third trimester now. We just have like a month to go, pretty much.
That's cool. That's life changing. Are you ready?
Well, maybe probably as ready as I can be, I guess, because every parent I've ever talked to is like, "Oh, you don't even know, dude. You think you're ready, and then everything's gonna change the second that baby's born." So I feel bad saying I'm ready because I know parents are gonna be like, "No, you're not." But
You're as
I'm as
ready.
ready as I can be, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I don't think anybody's ever ready for a moment like that, but you grow
Yeah.
right into it. It's
How many
it's
kids do you have?
I have two. I have a 21-year-old daughter,
Hmm.
named Francesca, in case you're searching for names. And then I have a son who's 18, just going into college. And he's named after my dad. His name is Antonio. A little bit on
Okay.
the Spanish flavor. And
I
my
do
wife is
not have any
Marissa.
Francescas or Antonios in my family,
Oh, okay.
unfortunately.
All right. And my wife is Marissa, in case your wife is anywhere in the realm of that, or starts with an M. Might be some sort of similarity there.
She's Laura.
Ah, all right. Cool.
Close enough. Close
Yeah,
enough.
yeah. Um, so what I was going to ask was, I also remember in the same interview, you went to Georgia Tech. So why from Chicago go to Georgia Tech?
Oh yeah. So I knew, or I thought, I guess, when I was in high school that I wanted to go somewhere for computer engineering. That's the degree I started with.
Hmm.
And when I was a senior or maybe a junior in high school, I think a junior, we went on a family vacation to Disney. And then on the way back, my parents were like, well, we might as well go tour a few college campuses because we're just going to be driving through a large portion of the country.
Hmm.
So we toured, I think we went to like University of Florida. We went to Georgia Tech, Purdue, maybe one other, I forget. But
Hmm.
I really like Georgia Tech's campus. I like the idea of it not being super cold in the winter
Yeah.
because Chicago is obviously very cold during the winter.
Yep.
And I just wanted to get into a good engineering school. So when I applied for schools, Georgia Tech was the best one I applied to, and I got in. So I was like, yeah, why not?
Nice. Yeah, we actually team up with them quite a bit. Well, they have a sonification lab and they have a human computer interaction lab. So we always try to see if there's any good graduates coming out because, like I said, we work a lot in the tech. So there's a lot of smart people coming out of Georgia Tech. So we love that school.
Oh, that's really cool. Have you been there?
Uh, Once, yeah, I went once, but uh, before we did Iron Man 2, we actually worked on a series there was this channel called Speed Channel. I think it's Velocity now, but back in the day it was called Speed Channel. And there was a family in Chicago that was like a big towing company, and they did a reality show on them. And we were there and we shot the series and we did all the promos. Trying to remember the name. It's like escaping me now because
It
it's a
was in
long time
Chicago,
ago.
you said?
Yeah, it was in Chicago. We spent like a good probably 8 days, 9 days. Of course, it was in the middle of winter, so we were freezing.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah.
but yeah, it was in Chicago, and I can't remember the name. You know what? I'll have to send it. I'll have to email it to you. It was a lot of fun. The show is not around anymore, but when you watch these reality shows like these trucks that are like driving across country on the ice, and
Oh
all these
yeah, like
different
ice
types
road
of
truckers and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, all that stuff. Like this was way before that. And it was all based from it was his family in Chicago that was really well known for um kind of clearing all the messes in Chicago's, on their highways and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So were you staying in the city when you were
Yeah,
working
we
on
were
that?
in the city. So I had a
Okay.
lot of never really got a chance to to eat somewhere with someone told me like, this is the best pizza, you got to go there, because I know, between New York and Chicago, there could be a little bit of a brawl
Oh
going on
yeah.
about who's got the best pizza, but I love pizza in general, so I love trying it anywhere. But
Well,
what is the
yeah.
best pizza in Chicago? Is there like a main place? Is there?
I would definitely recommend. So there's, I guess, Lou Malnati's is a
Oh,
big,
okay, I was
biggish
there.
chain.
Okay,
Okay, yeah,
that's funny.
yeah. They're really good, and they have a lot of
Uh-huh.
locations. And then there's another place called, I think it's just called Uno, and they
Okay.
say that that is the first like deep dish pizza place. There's a few places in Chicago that say they're the first, but Uno is
Mhm.
one of the most popular ones. I've never actually been there, but I'm really bad also at recommending places in Chicago because I don't even live in the city. I live in the suburbs. I
Right.
know a decent amount of good places, but I don't know. I always feel like I don't really know what's going on over there. Also,
Yeah, I'm not in. We're not in Manhattan. I live on the outskirts in Queens, and there's a lot of good pizza places. The one that comes to mind for me, and if you're ever in New York, it's on Long Island, uh, in New Hyde Park. It's called Umberto's,
okay.
and that's probably the best pizza I've had in New York. I'm sure I'm gonna get flack for that. I just feel it coming already, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I'd say it's
Yeah,
top
people can have
top
some.
five.
Okay, gotcha. People can have some like pretty passionate opinions about that kind of stuff. So when you went to Lou Nadi's, did you have deep dish?
Yep. Yeah, I was
Okay.
there with my business partner Jeremy. We had Lou Malnati's, and I think he actually sometimes gets it shipped to him because they ship it. They like freeze.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
I
they
forget the
do.
process that they do, but I know he gets a couple of boxes every once in a while because his kids love it too. So it's
Yeah, and
pretty
it's
good.
surprisingly good frozen. I've had it like that too. And my
Hmm.
parents they live in Texas now, but they're from here and they always talk about getting Lou Malnati's frozen sent to them.
Texas is different. It's always warm there. That's a nice area too. I've been there a couple of times.
Yeah, they
Whereabouts in
just moved
Texas?
they're like about an hour and a half away from Dallas.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice.
If you know where Tyler, Texas is.
That I don't,
Okay.
but
I think that's like the closest
okay,
city to where they live. They kind of live in the middle of nowhere.
gotcha. Are
Yeah.
you a Chicago Bulls fan? Are you what's your sport of choice?
Okay, so I've never really been that into sports, but I
Okay.
will say I love going to Cubs games.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
I always wanted to go
Wrigley
to.
Field is
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. I've always wanted to go there. I've been to. All right, this is going to sound crazy. So Shea Stadium's pretty close to my house. That's where the Mets play, even though they
Okay.
suck horribly. Yankee Stadium didn't get to go to the original one, which is sad. I'm not a huge baseball fan, but I always look back and I'm like, man, I should have went. But I've
Oh
always
yeah.
wanted to go to like Wrigley. I've been to Boston's the Red Sox field there.
Mhm.
But Wrigley was always on the list to go to. So hopefully they don't do what the Yankees did and like build a whole new stadium.
Oh, I don't think so because there's like a lot of new development going on around there. There
Mhm.
it's like a whole plaza. They have a ton of really nice bars around there. It's a really cool area to go to the game and then walk to a bar or something afterwards.
Yeah, they have a similar. They're rebuilding everything around like Shea Stadium, stuff like that. Now, actually, it started I think yesterday. The U.S. Open is there right now for tennis, so
Mhm.
got some. There's a lot of activity going on over there. It's gonna kill me traffic going home, of course, but it is what it is. Um,
Last time I was in New York, I did go to Madison Square Garden to watch a basketball game.
oh, nice. Very
That
nice.
was
Well,
really cool. That place is huge.
yeah, it's pretty big. It's a good place, good venue. I wish the Knicks we're better. We're getting better. We're getting better. I'm a basketball fan, so
Okay.
um,
Yeah.
but I do like Chicago. That's why I asked. They're probably second on my list as far as teams or people I'd like to pillage to put on the Knicks. So if anybody
Okay.
from any owner from the New York Knicks listening, let's get some Chicago players in. I feel like they got the that 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 hustle and that I don't know, killer attitude, you know.
Yeah. Well,
You
if I
just need
meet
certain
any of the
players.
management of the Bulls, I'll try to connect you guys for sure.
Perfect. I appreciate it. So any other I don't know, interesting hobbies or anything that nobody knows about that you also take part
Okay,
in?
let's see. So, my wife and I are pretty into running.
Okay.
We uh we got into it like during the pandemic and had never really done much running before. And then this past October, we both ran our first marathon in Chicago. We ran the Chicago Marathon.
Wow. That's nice. That's
Yeah.
pretty intense. How many miles is that?
It's 26. Okay, so I was
Oh,
gonna ask
damn.
if you were into running at all, but I guess that answered my question.
No, I'm not into running. I only run when it's necessary at my age.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, that makes sense.
so my sports are more I play in an old man's basketball league and I play a lot of golf. And I do a lot of
Oh,
mountain
okay.
biking. I do a lot of mountain
Okay.
biking, which is something I love. So,
Okay. So
yeah.
I actually just took a golf lesson, just a 30-minute lesson
Hmm.
because my father-in-law is pretty into golf and Laura has an uncle and a cousin who are into golf and then one of my friends is pretty into golf. So I've been like dipping my toes in a little bit to see if I could get into it. So maybe in the future we could have a similarity there.
Nice. Yeah, we should totally play. If you're ever in the neighborhood, if I ever end up in Chicago, we should totally hook up and play 18.
Yeah,
It's a
that
lot
sounds
of fun. It's intense and it's a little bit tough when you start, but my son picked it up probably 3 years ago. He made his high school team, and now he's going to try out for his college team. And he's, once you get into it, it's very hard to put down.
okay.
Yeah, because it's like a mind game. You're playing against people. It's not a team sport. You're on your own, which is kind of nice. But you could hit it great, and you're like, man, that's awesome. I'm gonna do
Hmm.
great the next shot, or you could hit it really shitty, and then all of a sudden you're like, I got to do better. No matter what
Yeah.
happens, it's like you got to go back. It's crazy. It's like this weird. Until you play a lot of it, you'll get it when you play enough. You'll be like, now I know what Danny was talking about. I can't get enough of this stuff. You can play it till you're very old, so that's good.
I right now I just kind of feel like a baby deer that has no control over their body every time I try to swing. It's like it's so foreign
Yeah.
that I just feel like I have absolutely no coordination. I'm like missing the ball, I'm topping it every time.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever
But I
play
think
hockey?
no.
Okay. I only asked because for whatever reason, hockey players find it very easy to pick up the game of golf. So that's why I was asking.
I guess that makes
Whereas baseball players don't because you're not supposed to swing it like a bat. It's very different. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
think the best thing to do is get a couple lessons. Then after that, it's just repetition, hitting the range, going on the weekend to play, or if you can sneak in around during the week, that's even better. It's probably
Yeah,
less people on the course and you get home within, 3 hours instead of 5 hours. But yeah, it's
totally.
it's it's a lot of fun.
So how long have you golfed for?
Oh boy. Let's see. When I first got married, I probably golfed every day. I was down to like a 10 handicap.
Oh, wow.
And I because I had the night shift. So when I worked at this company I mentioned, RGA, they gave me the graveyard shift. So I would play golf every morning, then go to work. And I would get out. I worked from like 4 to like 1 or 2 in the morning. And then I would get up again at like 8, go play, and then go back to work again. And my wife at the time worked, so I didn't really have to get up and hang with her or anything like that. So that's all I did. And then I had kids and kind of stopped for a while. And then over the pandemic, my son and I picked it up again. And then he just got the bug and he started playing like crazy. And now I'm gonna start again. I hurt my leg, so I had to stop for a little while.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a good game. for sure. It gets expensive though. You want the best driver, and then all of a sudden you're playing well, and then all
Oh
of a sudden you
yeah.
hit it bad, and you're like, I need a new driver, and $500 down the drain again. It's it gets crazy,
Yeah, I'm
but it's
trying
all
to
fun.
refrain from spending too much money on it before I even decide if I like it right now.
Yeah.
I'm using a set of golf clubs that I just borrowed from my father-in-law. So
Yep.
I haven't even purchased clubs yet. I'm just barely dipping my toes in.
Yeah, you gotta wait to see if you stick with it for sure, because it can
Mhm.
it gets a little bit expensive. Not too bad, but
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, even a set of clubs is like at least a few $100s, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you want something decent, you're looking probably at like $800, something like
Mm.
that. And then you got to get your woods, and you want to get a putter, and then the balls and the bag. Yeah, it starts to add up, but it's a lot of fun. Once you're done with all that, then it's all a blast, and you can hang out with your friends playing 18, have a couple of beers. It's good. It's good. It's a
Yeah, it
good
seems like
break.
a fun outdoor activity to do when it's nice out and stuff. That's really kind of what drew me to it is, oh, it's a good thing to do while hanging out with friends, spending time outside and drinking beer probably.
Yeah, exactly. Drive around in the carts. You can't really run a marathon or play basketball or anything else with a beer in your hand. So golf is the
That's
next
right.
best thing.
Yeah.
So what would you say is the craziest moment you or unbelievable thing you ever did in a YouTube video?
Most unbelievable thing I ever did in a YouTube video. I would say one of the coolest things that okay, I can think of two things. So I did a video a few years ago about really big giveaways on YouTube. I don't know if you've ever seen. Are you familiar with Mr. Beast at all?
Yes.
Okay, so he does a lot of videos where he gives away like insane prizes,
Hmm.
Teslas and money and stuff. So I did a video about ways that can kind of go wrong if you give someone a really expensive gift. That can actually be almost a burden to them, because if you give someone a house, there's property taxes, there's home insurance, and
Right.
they can maybe try to sell it, but what if they can't find a buyer? Then they're just stuck with this thing.
Hmm.
Or he will give people Teslas, which are nice cars, but not everybody can use an electric car. It's actually a little bit less convenient for people. If you live in an apartment with no charger, then
Hmm.
you have to go drive to a charging station, every couple of days and spend an hour there charging. And obviously all of the maintenance costs, or like insurance costs and stuff. So I did a video about that and then tried to like craft the right way to give someone a gift like that. So I ended up giving a fan of mine like $70,000 to go and buy a Tesla.
Oh,
And that
nice.
was, yeah, that was, I think, one of the coolest moments that I've had in a YouTube video, because that was just like crazy. I've never done anything like that. So it was very cool.
Well, it's cool because you're affecting someone's life in a positive way, and
Hmm.
it's like you said, did it the right way. You didn't just give it to somebody, and then they were like, "Oh crap, what am I going to do with this now?"
Yeah,
So, are you a
exactly.
car fanatic? Do you have like a preference in vehicle that you like to drive? I'm a car freak. That's the only reason why I'm asking.
Okay, gotcha. I never really was too much, but I own a Tesla as well. I have a Tesla Model 3.
Okay.
I never really cared about cars before that, but now that I have that car, I'm like, well, I do like how fast this car is,
Hmm.
because electric cars can like really accelerate.
Yep.
And so I do appreciate that about this car. I never really thought I'd be into like fast cars, but that I really like. But that's an electric car, so it's kind of a whole different thing, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're up and coming for sure. I mean, they've been around, but now there's a lot of talk of all these like muscle cars that are turning into you know an they're coming out with electric versions, and for someone like me, I'm more, and again, I'm a little older, so I love the manual transmission and shifting the cars myself, and
Mhm.
inhaling the fumes, which is probably very bad for you, of course, but
So
so
do
when
you
I
have
try.
a favorite car that you
Oh yeah, I
that you
am
either
a
have or that you want to get?
I'm a Ford Mustang. I'm a Mustang fanatic. Yeah. I
Okay.
have I have the original Mustang that I bought when I was 19 years old. I still have it. And I have two other ones, and then for my 50th birthday, now I just told you my age, I got myself a GT 500, which is a 2020 GT 500 in orange. It's one of my favorite
Oh, that's
colors.
awesome.
Yeah, that's what I go to the track with that thing.
You mentioned that your company designed UI for one of the new Mustangs, right?
Yeah, yeah. For the new ones that are coming out, we did something in 2017 for Ford. It was called the GT. It was
Hmm.
it's pretty much like a $500,000 vehicle, but you had to have like a certain amount of followers, and you had to promise never to put it in a museum. You had to race it on a track. There were all these stipulations in order to buy it.
Oh,
Yeah, it was crazy. Kind of like Ferrari. Ferrari does that too. But so I never got a chance to well, I couldn't afford it, but and if I tried to buy a $500,000 car, my wife would basically just get up and leave. But but that was our first foray and our first automotive project, and a lot of that work trickled down into like the Mustangs, and a little bit of it is in the one that I own. So I told my wife that for my 50th birthday, that's what I wanted to do, and she gave me the green light. So I bought it, and I have fun with it whenever I can.
yeah, that's awesome. Well, that's basically a business expense at that point. I think that's pretty justifiable because your work is in the car.
Yeah, I guess I can't really write it off, but I wish I could. But my
Yeah,
accountant says, nah, that's not really. It doesn't work that way. But it's
yeah,
still
that's
fun. I just love it. I love the sound of it and all that. So I'm just hoping that when these electric cars come out and when they're muscle cars, that they come up with, and we're actually working on some stuff, but that they come up with ways that you can, you know, have certain experiences for people like me that can relate to like the old muscle car thing. Like, you got to feel the rumble and hear the sound and all that fun stuff. So
oh
there's
yeah.
something to it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, there are cars now I know that will pump some kind of noise into the cabin as you're
Hmm.
accelerating so that you can feel that a little bit. I forget what car I saw that does that, but I
Yeah,
think there's a few.
if you ever get a chance, take the the Porsche, the the Taycan,
Hmm.
and it has like a button that you could turn on, and has like this little the sound. It's interesting.
Yeah.
I like the fact that some companies are trying at least. So
Yeah, that makes
yeah,
sense. That Porsche
but
is a really cool car. I've seen
oh
those.
yeah, they're beautiful, and I'm into Teslas too. And I love the feeling when you hit the gas. It's definitely like a roller coaster. It's nuts.
Yeah.
You don't get that
It
feel
is
with a
it's
muscle
so
car.
surreal the first time you do it too because you're used to gas cars and you're used to a little bit of delay when you push
Yeah.
the
Yep.
gas and you're also used to the noise of the engine revving up, but it's like you press the pedal, it goes immediately and it's like silent, which is really bizarre the first time you do it.
Yeah. It's nuts. It's crazy. It's like magnetic, basically. If I
Yeah.
feel like I'm on like actually, I just returned from vacation. I was in Spain visiting family, and I took a bullet train from
Oh yeah.
one town to Madrid. And at one point, I think it was doing like 330 kilometers per hour, which isn't a lot, but it was. It took my drive time down from 5 hours when I used to drive to like two. So I was like, this
Oh
is
yeah.
like, I'm never driving again. There's no reason. I love driving, but I'm not on vacation and not for
Yeah.
5 hours straight after an 8 hour flight. So it was very cool.
Yeah, we took a bullet train in Japan a few years ago. We went in 2019
Okay.
and that was really cool. Those things go fast. It
Yeah.
feels like being on a plane almost.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. That's on my bucket list. I gotta go to Japan. I haven't been there yet.
So
So
do you go to Spain a lot to visit family?
yeah, when I was young, my dad basically threw me on a plane after school finished, right to Spain, and then right before school started, I'd come back. So all my summers growing up until I was about 20 21 was in Spain. So I learned to like, and this is like a small town in the middle of nowhere. It's in the mountains. So my aunt
Mhm.
would show me how to shoot shotguns, and I would do like, shot put with the discs, and she would show me how to, and this is going to sound strange, but like, if you want to eat chicken, you got to go in the back and grab one and
Oh wow.
get it ready for for lunch. Yeah, so it was crazy. I mean, cows walking around. So it was wild for a kid from New York to go to a place like that. And then there was a bigger town. Um, so my mom's from this bigger town. My dad's from this town on the outskirts, and that's why I like to spend most of my time, because it was like camping. So
Mhm.
the bigger town had, uh, bars and discos and, stuff like that. It was only like a mile by maybe 2 miles. So it's not huge, but everybody, we knew everybody there because my family's huge. My mom's got like 12 brothers and sisters, and my father had 7. So I got a lot of cousins still there. So I go quite a bit. And I just came back because I hadn't been there for 4 years because of COVID and other stuff that popped up. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I've only done a little bit of traveling in Europe as an adult. Um, we went to Italy and France last year,
Nice.
and I loved it. It was so cool.
Yeah. Well, I highly recommend Spain if you get a chance to go to Barcelona and check out Gaudi, the architecture of Gaudi. I did
Mhm.
that for the first time. I was there for 4 days, and then I went to the town where my family is. And if you want, I can email you the town too, because it's pretty cool. It's all built around this huge church. It's very interesting. There's just so
Yeah,
much history there. It's crazy.
I
All
would
of
love to
Europe.
see a little town like that. I mean, like
Yeah.
older European towns, I think are so cool and beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and it's a good trip for like if you have kids and stuff like that, which you're gonna have soon. So,
I will. That's right.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh well. Okay. So I had two moments from YouTube videos. The first was the giving away a car.
Hmm.
The second one was it last year? Was it? Yeah. Last year I went to the most haunted hotel in the US and did a video there, the Stanley Hotel in Colorado.
Okay.
It's the hotel that The Shining is based off of
Uh
when
huh.
Stephen King wrote the book. So that was a cool kind of bucket list experience. I'd never seen myself going ghost hunting, but I just thought it would be a really cool video, so I went and did it, and it was very fun.
Oh, I actually, when I was looking you up, I saw that one. I didn't watch it. I queued it up. I was like, oh, I gotta
Oh,
watch this.
cool.
This looks pretty funny. Because here in Long Island we have the Amityville Horror House. I don't know if you ever heard of
Oh
that one.
yeah, I've heard of it, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's basically just I'm not sure if it's haunted or not. Was the one that you went to? Was it? Did you get any weird vibes when you were there?
So I didn't, but I also don't believe in ghosts. So I feel like I would dismiss a lot of the feelings, or maybe,
Hmm.
ghosts aren't drawn to me because they can tell I don't really care.
Right.
But I know a lot of people have had weird experiences there. And I was hoping to, because I was like, how cool would that be? But regardless, it was still a really cool trip. I got like a private tour because one of the um tour guides recognized me from my YouTube channel. So they were like,
Uh-huh.
"Oh, we can give you like a after dark tour of all of the haunted areas,
That's
and we
cool.
can like turn off the lights and stuff and just sit and see if we hear anything." So all that was really neat, and I got to interview them. It was very cool.
Nice. I'm surprised nothing came up, but you're right. Maybe the ghost got the vibes like this guy's not into it, so we're not gonna bother wasting our time.
Yeah, it's possible. I will say I was genuinely scared to go to sleep in my hotel room. It's just kind of the whole hotel has that old vibe about it. The
Hmm.
bed I was sleeping in has this like giant ornate wooden headboard, and it's just kind of a creepy feeling room once you're alone and you turn off the lights, and that's the moment where you're like, "Oh God, what if this place actually is haunted?"
Yeah. Then you start hearing things for sure.
Yeah.
Nice. So I guess, in the last 10 years, your life has I would say, pretty dramatically changed, right? And now, like you said, you're gonna have a kid. And where do you see your career heading in the next 10 years?
Yeah, totally. I think that I'm happiest when I'm doing whatever's most creatively fulfilling to me at the time.
Hmm.
I tend to, if something is working for me, like a specific format or something on YouTube, I'll just do that over and over, and eventually it will just not be interesting to me anymore. And so I think that really I just want to push myself to explore new formats and stuff like that I would find really creatively fulfilling, but maybe are a little more risky or a little different. And so I think that that's kind of what I want to push myself to do right now. In terms of ten years is pretty hard to look into the future because I'm like, I don't even know what 2 months from now is going to look like once I have a child. But yeah, really, I just want to push myself creatively. I really like YouTube. A lot of people ask, like, do you want to use this as a springboard to get into some kind of, TV show or something like that? But personally, I really like the freedom of YouTube. And, if I can make all of my videos on a pretty tight budget and still feel creatively fulfilled, and I don't have to get approved by anybody, I really enjoy that, and I can work from home and stuff. So right now that's really working for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
So back to another Danny Gonzalez question. So, and this could be because I live in New York City area, but like when I went to sign for like my mortgage and stuff like that, I got this paper from the lawyer like, hey, here's 25 Danny Gonzalez's, or any of these people because some of them were like, owed some money or had a lien on a car or something like that. I'm like, no, this is not me. This is not me. But the craziest one was, I would say, this is probably around 2009 or 10. We were traveling a lot for work, and I kept getting stopped at security at the airports. And they would put me in a private room, and I'd be in there for 2 hours. And my partner, Jeremy's like waiting outside, like, what the hell's going on, dude? Like, what? And they kept asking me questions. So finally, I was talking to one of the security guards, and I said, like, what's going on? Like, I don't understand. And they're like, well, you're on a list. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, you're on a list that we're supposed to ask questions about.
Oh no, a watch
and I was
list.
like, what does that mean? Is it like the FBI most wanted? What? He goes, I'm not at liberty to say, but you're on the list. And I said, well, how do I get off this list? Because it's killing my travel time. He goes, well, I had to go through this whole thing. It's called a redress number, where you get a number. It's kind of like, fly clear that they have now, whatever. But
right, yeah. Or
but back then they didn't. Yeah, but back then they didn't really have it. So I had to get this whole number, and they had to issue it from the government. It was crazy. That I'm assuming that never happened to you, right?
No, not that
Yeah.
extreme. I have had when buying our most recent house, I got one of those papers that was like, you're not this Danny Gonzalez, right? And you're not this one.
Yeah.
But no, never anything that extreme. Have you ever met another Danny Gonzalez?
No, never.
Wow. So I've met like a weird amount of them. I've met a lot.
Really?
Yeah. So there was coincidentally another like pretty popular Viner named Danny Gonzalez. And I think that I might have started to gain an audience right before him. And so he went by Danny Go, I think, because he didn't want to be the other Danny Gonzalez on Vine. But I also had one time someone came up because they recognized me from Vine, and they wanted to take a picture with me, and their name was also Danny Gonzalez. And I didn't believe them, and they showed me their ID. But the weird thing is that their full name was actually Danny Gonzalez. So my name is Daniel. I don't know about you, but I feel like most people.
Yeah, mine's the same. Except the only person who calls me Daniel is my mom when I'm in trouble. It's
yeah.
like, Daniel.
Okay. Yeah.
So I just go by Danny Gonzalez. Just easier, everybody. I mean, I had a lot of nicknames growing up, but everybody just called me Danny, or Danny G.
Okay. Yeah.
And they'd call my parents Mr. and Mrs. G.
Right.
It's strange. But
and then there was another kid that went to my elementary school who was I think a year younger than me, who was also Danny Gonzalez, but he had two last names. He had like a hyphenated last name, but a kid that went to the same school as me.
Wow. I guess I should move to Chicago and meet more Danny Gonzalez's.
Yeah, exactly. I guess
plenty
Danny
around here.
and Gonzalez are both very common names, so it makes sense. But
yeah, I haven't met anybody around here, and there's a lot of them. There's a lot of us out there, but
yeah,
I just haven't.
Oh, you know who you should talk to next? I think that there is a college football coach, Danny Gonzalez. I think he's like Arizona, maybe.
Really?
Yeah, that's another one that I see people tweet about sometimes.
Okay, right. I'm writing it down.
There you go.
Well, I don't have any other questions for you, but I guess do you have any advice for kids up and coming that want to do what you do? Is there besides hustling all the time, because people think like, oh yeah, you make a video and then boom, it's automatic, or I get a Marvel project and boom, now I work on every single Marvel thing. It takes a lot of hard work, which I know.
Yeah.
But any advice for any young content creators that want to make this their career?
Yeah, I guess I would say that the quicker you can start, the better. I know a lot of people would probably be worried about their first few videos not being very good and worried about people seeing them. But, don't worry. They probably won't, because when you start, probably no one will be watching them anyway. And
Right.
I think the best way to get better is just to make one, post it, learn from whatever you did wrong, learn from whatever you did right, and do it again. And it will probably take a while for you to start getting good. I started making YouTube videos with my friends, like I said, in like 6th grade, and I didn't start building any kind of audience until I was 20, probably.
Mm-hmm.
So
So you stuck with it for sure.
yeah, definitely. And then even, in college, I was doing all of this while also taking classes, and it took a lot of time to start building that audience. And I'll even look at videos that I made like 3 or 4 years ago and be like, oh God, these are awful. So you'll be constantly improving. You'll probably, find something to improve upon as long as you do it. But yeah, I would just say start and find something that you like doing and you feel fulfilled by, and also that other people want to watch. And as long as you find that intersection, I think you're golden.
Nice. All right. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you, and I love that. I'm talking to another Danny Gonzalez. It's still blowing my mind every time I say that.
Yeah, it's pretty
But I
fun.
wish
Thank
you
you for having me.
Yeah. I wish you a lot of luck in the future, and congrats on the on the baby coming soon, and wish you the best of luck on YouTube channel and everything else that you do.
All right. Yeah. Thanks. You too. I look forward to seeing your name in many movie credits to come.
And that wraps up another episode of the Perception Podcast. As always, send any questions and comments to ask@experienceperception.com. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and our YouTube channel.
Sign up for our weekly newsletter on our site, experienceperception.com/contact. Lastly, if you enjoyed this podcast, please go to iTunes and write a nice review. See you on the next episode.